Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another Premier Division review show. We're going to give our predictions for Monday's games coming up as well. But another good weekend, interesting weekend. JP, how are you? You well?
Yeah, all good.
I'm sure you are. I think we'll talk about the Rovers Derry game last. We'll start off at Turner's Cross, where Cork City had a massive win against UCD by 4 goals to nil. Healy, Crowley, Keeshin, and Varian with the goals. Cork had started the season, you could say, lacking a bit of confidence. UCD had played well in their
Rovers.
games. So this was an absolutely massive win for Cork in more ways than one, wasn't it?
Yeah, because I don't think any of us predicted Cork they won this game in the preview show and or the review stroke preview. I think I went 2-1 or 2-0 UCD or something like that there. But just basically because of the way both teams had started the season. And um Cork, I think they needed a performance, didn't they? Because they're the two games that they played, I think they were 2-0 down before they started playing and
Mm.
creating the chances, and they saw this as an opportunity. They lay down a marker. They did the likes of UCD that they've realised the UCD are going to be the team that they're going to be competing
Yeah.
against, and they've taken the game to them. And maybe that's look. It's easy to say for if Cork were to take a game to Derry or Rovers or
Mm.
even Bohs like that, they would probably leave themselves wide open. But in games like this, they have to be on the front foot, especially at home, and they've done that. And I think the second goal right on stroke of half time is probably the crucial goal of the game, and it allows them to relax in the second half, and they picked up another two goals. And um, the first goal was an unbelievable effort
Mm. That's right.
from Healy, like from distance, and then the second one's a good finish by Crowley, as a pinged around in the box and a good side foot finish. And then two goals in quick succession just takes the game away from UCD in the second half.
Yeah, and from UCD's point of view, I suppose I always think the thing with UCD though, they can get a beating like that, and it doesn't really mess up their confidence really.
No, no.
Generally.
You seen last year they got beat
Mm.
7-0 at the Brandywell
Mm.
or 7-1, sorry. And
Yeah.
I think it was the only beating really that they got in the entire season. And as you say, like they'll, they'll go out now Monday night against Derry, and they'll just play the exact same way as they always do, and their heads won't go down because they know that they're not expected to win any game, and especially in the Premier Division. And I think that's what Andy Myler's good at. He's good at keeping their confidence high, and their their expectations, keeping them level. And look, it'll be interesting to see how they respond against Derry on Monday. But I don't envisage them as going on a run now where they're going to lose 4 and 5 every week. I think they will still play football. They'll cause problems for our teams, including the teams up around the top end of the table.
Yeah, finished at Weavers Park. Drogheda United won, Sligo Rovers nil. Adam Foley with a smart finish on 60 minutes. And Drogheda unbeaten after 3 games now. 2 games at home where they've drawn with Shamrock Rovers and beaten Sligo Rovers. So their home form looks like it's very similar to last year, which is a
Yeah.
great sign for them. Defensively looking sound as well. I think Sligo have one chance in the game, but by all accounts, Drogheda played very well and deserved to win the game. And yeah, very good start for them, isn't it?
Oh, unbelievable start! I think you have to say, like, and as you touched on, there's 2 hard games that they've had at home, and then they've
Mm.
had Shelbourne away, which is not an easy game either. And they've picked up 5 points, and I'm sure if you said they Kevin Doherty at the start of the season, you'll play 3 games, you'll have 5 points. It'll snap your hand off for it, and that's exactly what they have. Great finish by Adam Foley.
Yes, a lovely
I think
finish.
he turns a good ball into a fantastic ball from Dale Rooney. And I predicted a Drogheda win in this game. I did just basically because of how they finished up against Rovers and the way Sligo had played against UCD didn't fill me with confidence with them. And I think that's why Sligo were. I think last year was they were sluggish at times in the league, and um, they didn't fill you with confidence. And then they would go on to Europe and they would do the double over Motherwell and things like that. And I thought this would end in a Drogheda win, and that's the way it has. That's the way it did end. And as you say, Drogheda look very, very strong at the back, and they're going to be a tough team to break down. I think the signing of Connor Keeley from Ballymena was
Yeah.
unbelievable signing. Really good player. I know he was well thought of in the Irish League, and especially at Ballymena, where he's been playing for 2 years or something like that. And you have to take your hat off. They Drogheda recruitment team, because they lost the likes of Dean Williams and that they Bohs, and I think they lost Lions too, did they?
It is, yeah.
They did. So it was about trying to replace them type of players as well as maybe the players that they lost in the back line. And look, it's a great start for them. And one that they'll be looking to build upon, because they are one of the teams that everybody's saying, oh, they're going to struggle. It's going to be between them and UCD. And
Mm.
early on, they're saying, well, you know what, write us off if you want to write us off, and we'll just keep going about our business.
The recruitment seems to be very good when you consider the budget isn't great. I don't know how they do that, but they seem to get the recruitment spot on, or players that really suit what they're trying to do. And it's very rare in the last number of years, even under Tim Clancy as well, that they bring in players that don't do well or are a disaster. Like, in fact, some players that they've brought in generally up their game when they get to Drogheda. So I don't know, there must be something in the River Boyne up there or something.
Whatever's in it, just keep doing it. I know Adam Foley, his time at Finn Harps didn't end well, for whatever reason, and he went down to Drogheda and just hit the ground running and maintained it, and he's maintained a good standard. And is it the expectation? Is it the standards that are set at Drogheda? We don't know. Are
Maybe it's the
they?
underdog tag as well, that it suits some of the players to be part of an underdog team, if you like, scenario club.
Yeah, possibly as well. As that wasn't it? Finn Harps had that for a few years, and they were able to play down their
Yeah,
expectations and be the underdog, and then
yeah.
eventually when people said, well, you know what, you're no longer the underdog, and certain players couldn't cope with not being the underdog and stuff like that, and then eventually then they fell through the trap door. But um for Drogheda, it's their third season now in the Premier Division, and look, um as you say, whatever the recruitment team are doing on the budget that they're doing, keep it up. Because we did hear in the pre-season or the close season that they were looking for investment, so they could maybe up their budget a wee bit and go for that maybe better player. They strengthen them, but right now, whatever they're doing is working, and for them, long may it continue. And who knows it, if they can continue at this, then maybe that investment that they're seeking will come, and they will be able to bring in a higher caliber player.
Yeah, I mean, Sligo, I suppose, will be disappointed with the result, but still very difficult to judge them, isn't it? I feel like as well that looking at their team and selection, that you wouldn't really know what their best 11 is at the moment either with Sligo, I think.
No, and I think the one thing that stands out for Sligo from the rest is you could probably maybe put Dundalk in this category as well. As Dundalk were signing to replace, they weren't signing to build, if
Bad.
you know what I'm saying. So they were maybe losing Paddy Kirk and they're bringing in Danny Lafferty. They lost. Did they lose a centre back and brought John McMahon back from St Johnson?
Mahon, yeah. They lost
Mahon,
oh,
sorry.
he's escaped my head. He's gone to Motherwell.
Yeah,
He's gone out of my head, but yeah, I know who he is. He's just gone. Yeah.
they lost Aidan Keena quite late in the window. And they've brought the guy in from Finland or Iceland. They replace him, but Max Mattis seems to be the person that's going to step up there, which is good that they have somebody already on the books that can do that. But I think they finished the first game really strong against Shamrock Rovers.
Yeah.
But how much of that was on the red card for Lopez? And then last week they struggled against UCD, needed 2 penalties in the second half. And to, last night they've gone down. They've lost. They Drogheda in Weavers Park. And look, I'm not going to say as a Sligo fan you should be worried or whatever. Absolutely not. I think once John Russell managed to get his team settled, that they will start to pick up points. And if some good players there, as we touched upon, they've Fitzgerald and one player that they've had since the summer is Hartman, isn't it?
Yeah,
From RB Leipzig.
yeah.
But the paperwork prevented him from being able to play, so he's going to be like a new signing. So it'll be interesting to see how he fits in among the group. So, um, yeah, for Sligo, it's not panic stations yet, but
Mm.
um, they'll want to start putting in some more accomplished performances and create chances more regularly.
Yeah, it was a great weekend for County Louth, and Dundalk picked up their first win of the season with an absolutely ridiculous 5-0 win against St. Patrick's Athletic. Hooban, Ainsley in the first 50 minutes, Tulloch, Kelly, and Malley with the goals. I did watch this game back as well, but before I talk about St. Pat's, JP, I'll let you talk about Dundalk, and you can't take anything away from them. It's an unbelievable result for Dundalk. You wouldn't have thought there'd be much between these teams in reality.
No, definitely. When you look at both teams on paper, you're probably thinking St. Pat's are probably the more stronger team. And then they've gone and definitely did not see this result. I thought it would have been a draw, to be honest with it. I thought St. Pat's started the season pretty strongly defensively. Um, they've they've recruited well. I think in attack, I thought from what I watched against Derry,
Yeah.
uh, they picked up that late win against Shelbourne. Dundalk, we thought hadn't recruited well,
Mm.
but 10 new signings that they recruited late in the window have now had 2 weeks to settle in. They've had a full. Stephen O'Donnell's had a
Mm.
full week to work with them in between matches, so they
I
get
have to
used to
say the
the.
guy in the left wing, the young English lad, Tulloch, looked good, like on the day anyway.
Yeah. And so he's had that sort of week to work with these
Mm.
players and get them integrated in the group and realize them exactly what Stephen O'Donnell and his coaching staff would want from them. Build relationships with the players around them. The likes of Greg's seen the pass that Greg Sloggett played for the was it Dan Kelly's goal.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
It's things like that where he'll be looking for the new recruits to be able to do that, like where you get the ball and all of a sudden they know where their Lexa Pat Hoban's going to be or Dan Kelly or whatever. And um, they would have been on a wee bit of pressure. I think Dundalk would have been under a wee bit of pressure in this game going into it, considering how they drew with UCD, lost the Bohs. But you wouldn't have thought that they were. You wouldn't have thought that they were under pressure. I think the early goal probably settled them down,
Mm.
and once they're settled down, then and we know how difficult they are to beat at Oriel Park. And it's looking like it's going to be like that this season again. And look, it's good for them, good for the fans, and it's really good for the new signings to get off a mark with a couple of goals.
Yeah, usually when you see a result like that, it usually means one team plays really well and the other team have a shocker, to be fair, when it's
Yeah,
two teams that are similar-ish. But Tim Clancy himself was holding no punches at the final whistle, to be fair. He called out individual players. He
yeah,
said there'd be big changes on Monday, nothing to do with wrestling players. He says players will play who deserve to play. So you can clearly read between the lines there what might have been said in the dressing room. And as I said, I watched the game back. You talked about Dundalk there, and you'd have to say that the concentration, the focus, the work rate from Pats was deplorable, if I'm honest with you. Every goal was pretty much an error to some degree. And you have to
yeah,
give them Doc credit as you did, but nearly every goal from Pat's point of view was an error. To let Hooban get a free header from a free kick inside 5 minutes of all players, that says it all for me. Like, you know what I mean? Where's your head at going into the game? And it's quite a lot of
yeah.
few Pat's players there and good money. And they need to be doing better. You
Fifth,
can't go out in the pitch and show the desire, work rate, and commitment. And there's no way that any of them can say that they did because it's there to see. Like, you know what I mean? But it's a thing I don't really like calling teams out. Generally, wish, but if it's there in front of your eyes, you can't just ignore it either.
no, and the fifth goal I thought was absolutely. I think it was the fifth, wasn't
The
it?
Breslin pass inside, was it? Breslin's
Yeah,
pass?
it
Yeah.
started with Redmond at the left back spot, and then
Mm.
he's played it in Deep Breslin, who's played it inside, and Redmond hasn't actually been able to get himself back into position again. Thought that was amateurish, that was schoolboy
Amateur, at
defending.
least. Yeah.
So it was,
You'd
I
let that
thought,
one off to a degree. The fact it was 4-0 with a couple of minutes to go, but it was pretty much like that the whole match is the point, like
yeah,
from Pat's point of view.
and I thought they were, as I say, I saw Pat's first game of the season. I thought
Mm.
they look well drilled and
Mm.
stuff like that. And I don't know, I've been seeing comments and stuff that from Pats that they're not missing O'Reilly and they're not missing this player. I think that could possibly be a wake up call for them. That result for not for Pats and the players
Cotter and
themselves.
O'Reilly were absolutely huge losses, and there's a lot of talk about Pat's squad being stronger this season. I haven't been so sure about that. I haven't said much about it, but I haven't been convinced on that either. Certainly, their first 11 isn't as strong, in my opinion. They've no competition on the left-hand side. If Breslin's having a bad game or two, who comes in there? You know, you have to put in someone who's out of position or one of the under-19s. So I'm not convinced that their squad is better than it was last season at all, and that was before this game as well.
Yeah, no, I thought, as I said, touched on it already. I thought they did sign well in attack, the likes of Lonergan and Mulrenny, and not really sure that have they really replaced the midfield that they, as I said, touched on there O'Reilly.
No,
Did they
definitely.
put all their eggs in the one basket that O'Reilly was maybe going to come back, and then that they've sort of neglected of maybe having a second or third choice possibly, and then touched on there Barry Cotter as well, who had a fantastic loan spell at the back end of last season from Shamrock Rovers. And for Pat's point of view, it's probably a bit disappointing that they couldn't do a deal with Shamrock Rovers, but at the end of the day, it was Shamrock Rovers player, and it was up to Rovers to decide whether they wanted him to go to Pats or across to England to Barnsley. And in the end, he's gone across to Barnsley. So, no, I totally agree. I think Pat's squad is probably slightly weaker than what it was last year. And thought these two teams were pretty much on par with one another. And I would have thought that Pats was maybe slightly stronger, but maybe this result from Dundalk is going to prove us all wrong. You know, and that's one thing that Stephen O'Donnell will look for, is he'll look to build on this performance now. He'll not want this to be a one-off. He'll want these players to take this and use it as a catalyst and set that as a standard for the rest of the season. Yeah, with a thin squad, whatever standards, performance levels will drop, obviously, stuff like that. But he'll want this to be the benchmark for them for the season. If they can do that, decent Pats, and what can they do to the other teams? Maybe take out Derry, Shamrock Rovers, take them out of the equation. Obviously, they want to compete with them, but they will see St. Pat's as their main rival for that top three, top four. If that's what they can do to them, then what can they do to the other teams that's going to be around them? And that's what O'Donnell will be saying. Like, you've played like that against St. Pat's. Why couldn't you played like that last week against Bohemians? You know what I mean? So,
or even UCD at home.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll move on to Talca Park, where Shelbourne beat Bohemians 1-0 in the North Dublin derby. I was actually at this one as well, and it's a bit of a strange game, to be honest. I thought we saw in the first half typical kind of Shelbourne performance, whereby they let Bohs have a lot of the ball and play in front of them. Worked hard, very well organised, cramped the middle. Bohs were reluctant to go wide, actually, and when it felt like that was their best avenue to go wide in the match, and get crossed into the box. On occasion when they did, they looked more dangerous. But a lot of the time, Bohs were trying to play through the middle, this kind of ticky-taka stuff. And with Shelbourne, it works so hard. They're so fit. They're so organised. It's very difficult to do so. But then a red card happened the second half to Dylan Connolly. Did you see this? Did you see the red card?
I've seen it, and I still can't decide.
It's possibly a little harsh, isn't it? A little harsh.
Still can't decide whether the push from
the
Shelbourne player has forced him, and they sort of or I can't decide whether he's used the push as an excuse to get his arm up, or has he done it deliberately. At the end of the day, Arnold Hunter and his assistant has had one look at it, and I think it's probably more from the linesman who's looking at it from the front, so he hasn't actually seen the back, so maybe he hasn't seen the push from the Shelbourne player.
You can see why it was given, but you could also see if yellow was given. It's one of them, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. This is one that I'm not going to criticise the officials on for, to be honest with you, because I think it's one of them ones. I can't decide whether he's done it deliberately or he's been pushed, and the push has forced him kind of in there. But one thing that you don't do is give the referee an excuse or an opportunity to provide you with the red card, especially in a huge game like this, where your team has been the team that's been in the ascendancy for the season and started well. And the
At
team that
that
you're up
point, to
against.
be honest with you, JP, at that point, I felt if anyone was going to win it, it was going to be Bohs. I couldn't see a Shels goal come from anywhere. It was difficult to see a Bohs goal as well, but at the same time, they were pushing on a bit more and playing the football as such, had the possession. But the funny thing is that led to before that, Dylan Connolly actually, like in that action, it was a counter-attack, a rare counter-attack for
Yeah,
Bohs.
that's right.
And he had a
That's right.
great chance to play it across to Afolabi, and he just delayed. It was almost like a
Yeah,
double whammy. If he plays it across, there's a great chance Afolabi finds the net. So it was a complete
yeah,
double whammy, and it just changed
it
it
was.
completely. And Shelbourne took their only real chance. Levy, by the way, looked sharp when he came on, and he took his goal well, and it's a massive 3 points for Shelbourne in the end.
Yeah, massive. Like, as the Shelbourne fans are probably sick of me rabbiting on about this, but as I say, they did one win in 15 games going into this game, and I know Shelbourne fans are saying, well, we picked up points off Rovers and Derry and Pats and at the back end of last season, but at the end of the day, it's not about picking up draws. You have to pick up wins, and it's a massive win for them. And but going back to the chance for Conley is like,
Yeah.
you seen J.R. Wilson coming across. They make the tackle, and if he gets his head up, he just puts his foot on it and puts it across because Wilson has decided, right,
I
I
think it's
have
3 or 4 seconds to do it as well, like which is plenty of time, and
yeah.
never.
Wilson has decided, right, I have to get across there because if I don't get across there, Conley's gonna go further into the box, and then I'm going to be like, so he's decided to go across and take a chance that Conley's not going to play the ball, and in the end, say double whammy. He doesn't play the pass. He gets a red card because of it, of his reaction, and Shelbourne then went on, and like it was a huge red card because Conley's the kind of boy that they were probably relying on. If they were sitting deep, they hit them on the counter, they use his pace, and then all of a sudden they don't have that pace to get them out, and Shelbourne can have them penned in. And it was a great finish, to be honest, great finish. And I think he was running away from goal with a wee bit, and he's just swiveled his body. They find the inside of the back of the net, and as I said, great one for Shelbourne, one that they probably needed, and they'll be looking to use this now because, as I said, they need to start picking up wins rather than draws, and not just for. I know the season's only started, but if they don't start picking up wins, then people will start to look at the back end of last year and wonder, was it the cup papering over cracks? So
Yeah.
I think it's important now that Shelbourne use this and start to go on a wee bit of a winning run.
Yeah, it's a huge 3 points for them, to be fair. A bit of a blow for Bohs, who are still second at the table, though, and they'll be happy with 6 points after 3 overall, I think. Tallaght Stadium, strangely enough, nearly everybody, including myself, predicted that Derry City would win this match, and they did. Shamrock Rovers 1, Derry City 2. Doherty after 18 minutes on the counter-attack. A lot to do, though, good finish. Kenny on 27 and McGonigal on 54. Now, obviously, Derry now are top of the league. Shamrock Rovers haven't won after 3 games and are only ahead of UCD. Now, there was a lot of talk about, and it's understandable, the suspensions that Rovers had with Grace, Cleary and Lopez. But to be fair, and it is understandable because they're all in the same area of the pitch as well, like, organisation, the back and all. But to be fair as well, is that Derry are missing Dummigan, O'Reilly and Duffy. So this win, I think, highlights that Derry have a squad, basically.
Yeah, McJanet as well.
McJanet as well. So, you know what I mean? So, although many expected Derry to win, I think they were the only team, I think, that could have maybe taken full advantage of Tallaght Stadium with that, and they did. I think it is, like Higgins said, it wasn't a statement win. Of course he's going to say that, but I do think it's a bit of a statement win, particularly when Rovers haven't won this season, more so than the President's Cup. This one, I think, is a massive win and should give Derry a lot of confidence. McGonigal back in the score sheet as well, as I said there, and look, it's a huge 3 points for Derry, and it does highlight that their squad is stronger this year, for sure.
Don't forget about Colin Whelan too as well from UCD.
And Colin Whelan isn't even available, yeah.
I think in the preview show, I think we all had, I think it was a full house on Derry to win this game, and
even I predicted it, I wasn't on it. So
and obviously everybody's looking at the Rovers being depleted in defence, and that's probably what's decided people's judgment that Derry was going to win the game. Was that, as you say, the same area of the pitch? And listen to the commentary at the end of the game. They said a depleted Shamrock Rovers, and to be fair to the co-commentator, which I think was Graham Gertland, to be fair to him, depleted Shamrock Rovers team or not. He says Derry City have come here with injuries and
Yeah,
injuries themselves. He says, and they've beaten Shamrock Rovers by 2 goals to 1.
yeah.
He says, and we have to give them credit for that. And you have to.
Mm,
Um, I think the first goal was unbelievable. Like we don't see that often enough from Derry. Is
mm.
um, I don't believe is just as countering on other teams. And we tend to allow teams to maybe get uh
Position.
back into their position and um. Patchen, I think he actually wins the header from the corner, so he does, and then he plays the pass through the Ben Doherty, and look, it's an absolute, it's a fantastic finish from Ben. It's a
He's
great
got a lot
run.
to do. Like, it's not that he's
He's
one on
run from
one. He's picking up the ball in the halfway line. There's Rovers players catching up on him. It's not all about pace at this point because you have to control the ball as the
yeah,
keeper is starting to come out. So you have to slow down a little bit to compose yourself.
yeah,
Or you can easily be
yeah.
caught or challenged. So he just did it perfectly. It's a lovely finish past a very good goalkeeper, Manus, as well, which you can be a bit intimidating when he's bearing down on you.
And Ben's probably knew that um uh the Rovers players can't touch him because he probably knew, so he's just
Mm.
managed to protect the ball a wee bit
Mm.
while he's running. And I know the commentators were surprised at how he was able to compose himself and stuff like that. But what they probably don't realise is when he was playing in the Irish League for
Mm.
Coleraine and Larne was he was a very good finisher.
Mm.
Maybe playing from left wing back or attacking left sided midfield or whatever. So he has it in his locker to do that. And as you say, and Al Manis, when you're up against Al Manis, it's not easy to they finish it. And look, you have to give credit to Rovers because they bounced back into it, and within 9 minutes they were back on level terms. It was a great work from Rovers in midfield. And
It was Gary
um,
O'Neill, was it? Was it Gary O'Neill?
Gary O'Neill, and then he was fouled. The referee with a great advantage.
Yeah.
I think it was Marcus.
Poom.
Is it
Poom played
Marcus
it through.
Poom?
Kenny, who rifled it, really, didn't he?
Yeah, and I know Maher got a touch on it, but I don't think
Yeah.
any keeper's going to save that with the power there's in. And at that point, then Rovers started to finish this half stronger. And as a Derry fan, you're thinking they've no centre backs. They've got Sean Gannon, Gary O'Neill, I think, and
Mm.
Sean Kavanagh playing as their centre backs. Take the game to them. Let's see. Let's see how good they are. And thankfully, we got into half time on level terms, and Rory made a bit of a tweak at half time, and Derry came out, and it was the first time I think that we got the ball in the Graydon early or in
Yeah.
the patching, and he links up well with Ryan Graydon, and a couple of times beating in a lovely little ball in behind the defender, and McGonigal does what every good striker does,
Mm.
lets on to go near post, takes a defender with him, but then at the right time steps out. Great finish, something similar to the cup final goal, and good to see Jamie getting on the score sheet. Scored the winner last year in the Brandywell against Shamrock Rovers, so he's got the knack for the big game and big winners. So hopefully that continues for him. And I know you're saying Rory's playing down the statement win, but they go to Tala and win for the first time in 6 years against the team that, let's not make no bones about it, Derry are everybody. We know that we're going to be the challengers.
Mm.
We know that, and the games against Shamrock Rovers are going to be the crucial games, and that's where you have to try and pick up points against them. And we've picked up 3 points at Tala, and I don't think it gets in. I don't think you can get any better than that.
Mm.
You've created a 5 point gap early on in the season. Yeah, it's 3 games in, but it can be a bit of a psychological. And we all know that Shamrock Rovers, they've won 3 in a row, but they do tend to be slow starters. And you just wonder, is a slow start eventually going to cost them?
You do, and I suppose if you're a Shamrock Rovers fan, in fairness, you're probably saying that the ill discipline they've had in the first few games has cost them quite a few points, like against Drogheda. They'll argue it cost them points in this game as well,
Yeah.
for example. So that's something they do have to sort out quickly. Might be just one of those things where, you know what I mean, they might get one player sent off for the rest of the season. It's just one of those things. And
Yeah.
the fact that they all happen to be central defenders as well, is a bit of a, to them. But like, they're capable of bouncing back, and obviously they'll be playing Cork at home on Monday. We'll actually go into the Monday's predictions. So We've 5 games on Monday, so we've got Dalymount Park, we've got Bohemians and Drogheda. What are you saying for that, JP?
Very interesting game. Bohs, as I said, they started the season well. They'll be rocked a wee bit with that defeat.
Mm.
Against Shelbourne, they're going to be without Conley for that game, possibly 2 after it as well. Drogheda, as we touched upon, 5 unbeaten in the season, and 3 good performances. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this. I think both teams will be Bohs will be looking to bounce back from that defeat to Shelbourne, and Drogheda will be looking to maintain their good start. But I think a 1-1 draw in this game.
Yeah, and which in this one as well, to be fair. Dundalk and Shelbourne are Oriel Park, and I think it's vital from Dundalk's point of view that they not bounce back, but they kind of when you get a good result like that on Friday, it's important that they go and get another win here, because if you draw or lose at home to Shelbourne, it almost takes the good out of that big win, doesn't it, on Friday?
Aye, it does. It does, and it's
And
probably
this
going
will
back.
be a more difficult game, I've no doubt about it, the way Shelbourne play and defend, and that they won't find it as easy.
And it's probably going back to what I had said
Yeah.
about Stephen McDonald looking to make that result on Friday night as a benchmark. If you can do that to some Pats, and what can you do to the other teams? And this will be one of the fixtures that you would maybe pinpoint as the other teams. And to say Shelbourne are probably a bit more organised than what some Pats were, and they are quite hard to break down. But if you make the pick big against Shelbourne, you can create chances. And Dundalk, we know, are well used to that pitch up in Oriel, and I can only see a Dundalk winning this game. As much as I think it won't be 5-0, I think they'll win this one maybe 2-0.
I'm kind of which as well, but I'll go for a narrow Dundalk 1-0 win. Sligo Rovers and St. Patrick's Athletic. It'd be very interesting to see Pat's reaction after Friday's game, but they haven't much time to feel sorry for themselves, do they, JP?
No, they have to get back on the horse and go again, and put that result behind them and put it down as a freak result. And for Sligo, they've got started the season okay. They've picked up 4 points. I'm disappointed with the result against Drogheda. Picked up 4 points, but I don't think they've been convincing in any of their games. And this will be a game that they'll want to put on a performance for their fans, and they'll be looking at Pats and thinking, right, well, they were beat 5-0. Maybe they're a bit fragile. Can we inflict another defeat on them? And it's about. I think this will be interesting to see the reaction of some Pats to that defeat rather than the reaction of Sligo to Drogheda, because Sligo, all right, they didn't create chances, but they weren't well beaten the way Pats were. And yeah, I think I'm going to go narrow 1-0 Sligo. And narrow 1-0 Sligo win.
I think I'm kind of with you again here, but I'll go 2-1 Sligo narrowly. UCD and Derry.
Friday night's result for UCD was a result that I didn't see coming at all. I thought they'd started the season superbly, without maybe getting the points that they probably deserve. They said that St. Pat's will be rocked by their defeat to Dundalk. I don't think UCD will be rocked by the defeat to Cork. That's one thing that we've learnt, is that they don't allow heavy defeats to affect them. They just keep going about their business, which they will do here as well. I think this will be a tough game for Derry. I think 2 games we played down there last year against them was tough. I think they were narrow 1-0 or 2-0 wins. And I see it being a tough game again. But if Derry can start to move that ball quickly, move it about the way they did for the second goal against Shamrock Rovers, thought we showed a side their game against Rovers in the last 10 minutes that we probably haven't seen in the past, and that's we showed a resilience when our backs was against the wall. And this is a game that we're going to dominate the possession, I've no doubt. It's about what can we do with it. Can we move it about? Can we move UCD? Can we pick holes in their defence the way Cork did? And I'm going to say, as much as I don't think it'll be easy for us, I think we'll get a few goals, and I'm going to say maybe 3-0 Derry.
It's going to go the exact same way. I think Derry will kick on here and win 3-0. We're pretty much equal so far here. Shamrock Rovers and Cork City at Tallaght Stadium. Surely Rovers will win their first game of the season, actually, and their suspended players are back, aren't they? Or certainly Pico's back anyway.
I think it's back. I think the other 2 should be back too, anyway.
So,
Or has Lee Lopez another one this year? Did he get a 2 or 3 match ban?
That was two.
Two, was it? So if they have the three of them back, then
Yeah.
they'd be absolutely delighted.
Yeah.
Cork will come in with with a bit of confidence after
But no
their win.
pressure.
No pressure because they finally got their win. It's mad to think that you're saying Shamrock Rovers are going into 4 games in the season
Relegation 6-pointer, this one.
and they've only 2 points to their name, and no wins. So look, I think there's going to be another big crowd in Tala, and I think Shamrock Rovers they'll come out with, I think they'll win this probably 3-0 again as well. Like Johnny Kenny's off the mark, which he'll be delighted with. And I think Rovers will win this quite comfortably, 3-0 maybe.
Yeah, I'm with you as such, but I'm going to go for more of a kind of an edgy one. They'll win it, but I think it'll be 2-1 or something like that. So guys, look, we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Let us know your thoughts over the games at the weekend. Let us know your predictions for Monday. And subscribe to the channel, hit your bell notification button. Thanks again, JP. Brilliant stuff.
Here's Keith. Thank you.